Good morning. I'm Jen Amos at Weiss Research.
I'm Andy Myers, and this is your morning market alert for Wednesday, June 8th. Futures are pointing to a sixth straight day of losses on Wall Street. Stocks gave up earlier gains yesterday after Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke spoke to a group of bankers in Atlanta. He said that the pace of economic growth has been somewhat slower than expected, but he believes it will pick up in the second half of the year. Bernanke added that accommodative monetary policies are still needed, but stopped short of suggesting a third round of quantitative easing. The World Bank is also weighing in with its estimates for economic growth. It now sees global GDP growth at 3.2% this year, down from an earlier forecast of 3.3%. And the World Bank predicts that the U.S. will grow at a rate of 2.6%, down from an initial 2.8% estimate.
The Federal Reserve will be back in focus this afternoon when it releases its Beige Book survey of regional economic conditions. That's due out at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Bernanke's comments are having an impact on other markets as well. The fact that he didn't call for QE3 is weighing on commodities prices. Gold is dropping to around $1,535 an ounce, and silver is sliding 2% back near the $36 mark. Meanwhile, oil prices are falling ahead of today's OPEC meeting in Vienna. Most analysts still expect the group to keep its output quotas steady, or raise them slightly to match actual production levels. But there are growing calls for a significant increase. Analysts at Barclays say that the market requires an additional 3 million barrels per day in the third quarter. Right now, crude is dropping back near $98 a barrel.
On the corporate front, we're keeping an eye on shares of Citigroup, dropping about 1% right now. The financial giant agreed to sell a $1.7 billion portfolio of private equity assets to an arm of the French insurer AXA SA. The portfolio is a mix of limited partnership interests in private equity buyout funds and direct stakes in companies. AXA Private Equity did a similar deal last year with Bank of America. Meanwhile, Prudential Financial is likely to open higher. The company plans to buy back up to $1.5 billion worth of its common shares within the next year.
A couple of the day's biggest decliners are likely to come from the technology sector. Communication equipment maker Ciena is tumbling nearly 15% in the pre-market after it reported a much bigger than expected loss in the second quarter. Ciena's revenue also came in shy of estimates. Meanwhile, LDK Solar topped estimates with a huge jump in quarterly earnings, while revenue more than doubled. But the company's forecast for the current quarter disappointed analysts. Following the news, Breen Murray cut its price target on the stock, and it's losing more than 3% in the pre-market. That's the latest from Weiss Research. We'll be back after the opening bell with all the market reaction.